Welcome to week 4 of Intro to Creative Writing, and this week we are focusing on voice. And voice is an element in all sorts of writing, whether it's academic, whether it's something you're just doing, writing for yourself in your journal, your authentic voice is going to come through. And then in all of the kinds of creative writing we're doing this semester. So right now we're working on poetry, and voice is a very important aspect of poetry. Whether you're writing in a persona that's very close to who you are, and really every voice we write in is a persona. So even though this week I've divided your assignments into a self poem and a persona poem, when you write in your own voice, it's still just one of the many voices that you could take on and one of the many ways in which you could portray yourself, and which you do all the time, just based on who your audience is, who you're talking with, who you're writing to. So in your self poem, like I said, you're writing in a persona that's close to home. And then in your persona poem, I'm asking you to intentionally take on a voice that's very different than who you are in real life, where you could say pretending to be someone else, like in the sample poem that you're reading by William Trowbridge, right? He takes on the persona of King Kong. So I'm giving you the freedom, be a superhero, be somebody that you saw walking down the street and take on their voice. And of course, in this case, you're fictionalizing, you're making things up. But a lot of times the development of persona is a place where real life and experience and what you see and hear meets what it is that you imagine from within a character. One clear example I can think of as voice really coming through is something my grandmother said to me once. She grew up in rural Kentucky, or Kentucky, as she would say, and she was also a school teacher for many years. So most of the time she spoke what you would consider very standard, quote unquote correct, although I don't like that term, English. But she also had these wonderful sayings and just unusual ways of speaking. So I remember once when I told her I had just gotten a new job, she said, "You're the jobbest, gettinest girl I ever did know." And that was but she said it better than I just did. And I thought that was the coolest thing anyone had maybe ever said to me. Jobbest, gettinest girl. And I don't know that I ever used that exact phrase in a piece of writing, but now maybe I'll have to, that I'm thinking of it again. Those phrases, those sayings that you hear, that, maybe even ways of speaking that we might be judgmental of, if we're pursuing an education, if we're more traditional in how we speak, but that are just wonderful. So listen out for the unique ways that people speak, the things that they say, and what, just like we beg, steal, and borrow from other writers, even though we never plagiarize in terms of technique and approach, we can also just soak in all the different fascinating ways that people have of expressing themselves in the world and incorporate that into our personae, into our fictionalized characters. And there's just a lot of authenticity and beauty in those means of self-expression and in all of the voices around us. So I encourage you, as you're walking down the street this week, just listen up. How are people talking in the office, and whatever your work environment is, or on your way home from work, wherever it is that you encounter different people and encounter different voices. Just enjoy it, soak it in, and see how that might become part of your own writing this semester. So I wish you all a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon.